Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert. You're listening to Incredible Life Creator podcast. And today we're doing part 2 with focus from the focus of love. The last episode we talked about Valentine's dating and beyond. And now today we are talking about what's next after Valentine's Day. So welcome to the podcast, Focus.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be back. So glad to have met you all.
So let's just start out. So Valentine's Day can be an exciting day because we get gifts. So we do something special, romantic with our special person. But what about if you're that person that, you went by Valentine's Day and it, either you didn't have a date,
Right.
or you had a date and it was horrible.
Yes.
Or you got in a fight, maybe you were in a serious relationship, and on Valentine's Day, instead of having an enjoyable day, you got in a fight.
Yep.
How do we do that? We have so many emotions around that particular holiday.
Yeah, we do. It really does. It's very confronting, like taxes. Taxes, it's very confronting because it makes you look at your money. As much as you think you do make or don't make, when you have to look at those numbers, it can devalue you. You can look at, it took me 2,000 hours to make X amount of dollars. So people can come disgruntled with their bosses, with their employees and coworkers and so forth. Valentine's is a measuring stick the same way for a lot of people, right? How big of a gift I've gotten. Why did we go away for the whole weekend? We only went to a restaurant, and this was not even a 5-star restaurant, right? So it's these measuring sticks that we use to determine if the person loves us, respects us, honor what I've done all year long. I mean, we really can put a lot of weight on this day. So I really want to ask people to, with urgency, let it go. Because one, it's a made up holiday to honor love, not judgment, not, regret, resentment, and you supposed to. All of these conversations that snuff out love. Because where there is fear, there is not love, right? Now, you can have some fear that generates, hey, am I lovable? Am I likable? Will people care about me? These are good questions to ask yourself, and then get the healthy answer from someone like myself, like a life coach. So if you're bottled up and it's the day after Valentine's and your self-esteem went down a couple of notches, I want you to reach out to me. You can go to focusjames.com. I offer a 30-minute consultation, no charge. I want to tap into your soul and let you know that you don't want to be deflated by a made-up holiday. You're putting way too much pressure on it. And we need to have a conversation about what's really going on inside. Because just like taxes, Valentine's bring out what's already going on in a relationship and magnifies it. So if you had a spectacular time, it's probably a direct correlation to how the dance in your relationship has already been going on. If it zonked out, there was a major fight, Valentine's just gave the opening to say what you all really wanted to say and just didn't slow down enough to say it to one another. But this day, it was all let out, right? Kimberly is what probably manifested.
Yeah, and you said something as you were talking about, we use so many different things as a measuring stick to see if someone loves us. So even a strong, confident man or woman who loves themselves, who's successful within themselves, we all still want to be loved and know that we're loved. But a lot of times we're expecting someone to do something for us that will make us feel loved, but that's not that person's love language. They're never going to do that. And if you ask them to do it, they feel like you're pushing them, So how do we find out if someone really loves us, or if we're just a convenient person, and we're just their weekend, you know what I mean? How do we know if we're really being loved? How do we measure that, or how do we ask for that, or how do we ask the person about their feelings about that? Because I've found, even with men, especially if you say, do you love me, they don't know what to say. That love word is pretty scary for a lot of men.
It is. And that's why, because of what you just said. What does love mean to her? So when I say I love her, what does that mean? Does that qualify I'm paying all her bills? Does that mean we're immediately committed solo, not to date anybody else? Did I just give up my bowling night when I told her I love her? Right? What? it really means to her, right? So that is a fair conversation. The one, have with yourself. And this is one of the things I do, I work with my clients, I'm a life and love coach, and I go, if you were filled up with love, what would be happening? If you had a spouse that loved you right now, if you were dating an amazing man or amazing female, what would you all be doing to make you to know that you are loved? And I'll be honest with you, Kimberly, most people can't answer that question. They know what that looks like. So how are you expecting and even demanding on a one day out of a year we call Valentine's Day to show me your love when you can't even define it, right? You can't even tell me, what does that feel like? What does that look like? And then more importantly, or just as importantly, I ask, if you were loving on someone else, what would that look like? Mm-hmm. And that's an even harder question for most people. They normally can tell me, well, he would be giving me flowers and candy, and we would go to swoosh off to Las Vegas and Los Angeles and da, 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 da. But I mean, really loved, because there's a lot of people, if you sit in the airport, which I love to do, I love the people watch, grumbling, complaining, snatching, he leaving her, she leaving him, you forgot the ticket. A lot of shenanigans happen when you travel, because again, it's a very intense time. Mm-hmm. Management, emotional management, seeing people act differently with other people, rather happier or snappy or subdued towards the worker, shaming people because their job, they think they beneath them. A lot of it comes out. Same thing with Valentine's Day. You seeing how they're treating waiters, someone, the valet, it can turn you off and don't tip. I literally was on a date and the gentleman was sitting there figuring out how not to tip this woman. I was, that was the last date for me, because you're going to figure out how to punish me, or when you don't feel like I deserve something, you're going to withhold from me. Mm-hmm. This was working hard. Everything we asked, she did. She forgot one thing, and that was his thing. Well, there's her tip. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, dude. So you already let me know your dance of love and appreciation right here with the dater. So when you're dating, you want to look for that. You want to look for how people deal with the most lowest person on the totem pole in the room. Because when they feel some kind of way or angry or upset with you, that will be how they're going to treat you, right? So I want to say that out loud, as well, Kimberly. So these dates or non-dates or disappointments or go ghost on you, you set up the date because somebody's listening now. There was a date set up and they never showed. Well, normally because you were playing A, B, playing B or C, the real one they wanted to go out with was finally a yes, so they picked over them. Now that's going to be a hurt piece to like process and deal with that. And it's a gift, because you got to see who that person is early on, hopefully, or whenever you got to. Now you get to make a different decision about where this person is going to be in your life. Kimberly, I'm going to answer your question. I know I went on a little side.
Yeah. In some ways, and part of the question I think still is, so with different love languages,
right.
Different love languages,
yes,
how do you know when you're actually being loved?
Got it. So let's talk about that. Love languages, the purpose of it is to know how to ask for how you need to be loved and how to give someone else the love they need for them to be loved. So I'm very, it's very peculiar to me when people go, well, they won't do it that way. Well, then stay single. If you're not willing to evolve to be someone's soulmate as much as you're asking them to be a soulmate, it's just not fair. That's really selfish. That's back to that whole, I'm going to say, I'm stuck in my ways, or I'm settled in my ways and I'm not taken down. I'm going to be who I'm going to be. Well, you'll be that single, right? Because it's an evolution, because you're asking someone to share in a path and a journey of becoming a higher self. And in doing that, who are you to withhold from me getting love? So for instance, the 5 love languages is so you know how you need to be loved. So I remember one day walking in my mom's house and I'm like, wow, you look so beautiful. She's coming down the steps to go to church. And she goes, yeah, you need to take out that trash. Right? So, okay, well, I better get, stepping to take out the trash. So I go to take out the trash and I come back, I sit on the couch. I said, well, I took out the trash. Can I tell you you're beautiful now? If you want to, right? I'm projecting what I need, which is word affirmations. her and trying to make her accept my adoration for her being beautiful as a way of feeling love when she's not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Need to let that go and allow that she is sitting in, and all that I took the trash out and she feels love. Because now I'm trying to force feed someone else a love language that I actually need. So that's one way. When you look at love languages, you want to make sure you're not running the bathwater for someone who actually really wants a hug.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's not my thing, you feel love and excited about, but you're not single. Do it for yourself if that's what makes you feel good. Learn how I feel love and indulge in that. That's what love language is for, right? So you don't get to refuse growing in an area of love language because that's not you, right? And not in a relationship, right? When you want to be single, you can refuse whatever you want because it's only you. But to hold and withdraw someone being able to get their love bucket full, let's talk. Go to focusjames.com. We need to talk because why are you blocked? Because most of the time it's really not that deep of what the act is. It's something blocked emotionally, mentally, that you feel like you're giving up something in order to give to them. And that's a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that's very valid that people are afraid to do something because it might commit them or obligate them to always do it. So, for example, if you say to your husband, will you take out the trash? And every night he takes out the trash, and after a while you don't ask him, you just expect him to take out the trash. He didn't want anything else to do with that. So he's not going to volunteer because he doesn't want to just be put into a pigeonhole where, oh, that's his job now. So I totally understand that.
You got it. And then that's when you have a conversation. Especially for someone like maybe they got a large workload and they're like, I'm not coming in taking out the trash. You still want to be your authentic self. Then you find a teenager on the block that when he's taking out his mom's trash, she swing around, come through the back door, grab you all trash and put it out for $10 a week or a day or whatever that is, right? Mm-hmm. Still want to figure out a way because certain things in life just got to be done. It doesn't mean it needs to be you.
Right.
So figure out how it still needs to be done on when it's a non-personal task. But I get it. Even that woman might be like, well, still, I want to see him help out in the house. Now, you want to see him do something begrudgingly, or you really want the house to be helped out? You want the trash out, or you just really want to see him painting to do this because you told him to, right? Like what are we up to here? What is the point of it all if the trash got out, whether he took it out or paid someone to take it out? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Something to look at too. And that's what I mean, that underlining motive. What are we doing here? What's going on that needs to be worked out? There probably was there before you even married that man, right? So you want to deal with the what's so inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So just back to Valentine's Day. Let's say you went out on Valentine's Day and it was your first date with this person. Okay. And they asked you on a second date. Yeah. What does that mean?
Yes. Oh, this is the other juicy part. I mean, we all grew up on soap operas. I don't even know if they're on anymore, but like Dallas and General Hospital. So we all got to see the little bit of nuances of dating, and they cut. You never see the hour drive it took them to get there. So you just see all the fun and juicy parts. So we tend to want to live life that way. When someone asks you out on the second date, oh, they must have really loved me, enjoyed me. Am I going to meet their mama? We can just just take it way left and just build this momentum and this theme and this genre. Oh, we're going to be like Luke and Laura. I know I'm telling my age now. I'm talking about Luke and Laura. But whoever it is, Power, whatever those shows are now, Empire, you put yourself in these characters. So we want to slow down and speed up. It means he wants to spend or she wants to spend another 3 hours with you. That's all it means. That's all it means. Nothing more, nothing less, unless they tell you that. Unless they go, I'm really feeling you. And listen, a lot of times, ladies, men know before a female know. I've interviewed plenty of men across this country and in other places, and they'll go, I knew the first time I met her, second date, third date, I just had to let her catch up. I didn't want to spook her and tell her because she'll be like, are you kidding me? You want to marry me? You don't even know my middle name, right? And all kind of things, right? So he has to wait. So he may feel that and not tell you, but all you know right now is that the person wants to spend another 3 hours or so with you and just enjoy it. as such, because when you pack all of those expectations of what this means, it can literally shift the whole experience versus enjoying one another. Now it's all of this intention and intenseness that you can't even flow with the date. So just feel, the joy of being able to be in company with another human being and keep it nice and light.
Nice. And when it comes to dating, I kind of want to ask a two-part here.
Sure, sure.
What are men looking for?
Oh,
What are women looking for? Are we looking for the same thing?
no, because then you would be dating the same gender, which to a certain degree, right? So let me answer that right off the bat. Truly, 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 if you have not read this book, I think it's a very great way to start a conversation, and that is that men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So you can say one statement and it can mean something very different than a man than to a woman, right? Like the L word, I love you, can mean something very different to a man than a female. So it's so necessary to really tease that out and recognize we have different languages. So if I'm coaching a couple now, we're launching off a YouTube channel, and they're actually getting an RV. They're going to be traveling around the country, and they're going to be talking about what they're doing. So when family and friends are saying, why are you selling your house? Why are you doing this? The husband says, we want to meet new people and travel around, the country. The wife said, what are you talking about? That's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because we want to do God's work and we want to help people and mentor them. And I'm like, neither one of you are wrong. Both have your perspective reasons of why you're selling the house or buying an RV, and it's so okay. What you do want to do is honor each other's thought pattern that is different, but there's no need to convert one another to the other's thought of why we're getting this RV, right? Right? It's just now enrolling each other what that means so that you both get fulfilled in your thought pattern of why you're doing it. That's really key, guys. If you're taking notes, I really want you to get that. So for a female, you might be getting married to get a home and children, white picket fence, happily ever after. He might be getting married to have a stable place to call home, that he can come home after work and he knows he has a regimen of dinner, someone to love, a reason to go to work. Very different perspective there, right, Kimberly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't mean either one are wrong. You just want to get that that's his essence, right, of what he needs. And that's what your essence is, so that you then make sure both people getting fulfilled. But most likely it's going to be some similarities like love, closeness, camaraderie, right? That's in both of those definitions, but they're also clearly have different goals. And so you want to know that so everybody's getting fulfilled and there's not a clashing. Like, well, I thought you wanted 6 kids. He said, no, I wanted a home to come to every night that was safe. And I wouldn't mind having children, but not 6 kids, right? So this is where the clashing starts happening, because when we start teasing out the expectations, it could be overwhelming for both parties.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about, we kind of started talking about that, the marriage piece. So, years ago, it was the man was the breadwinner, the woman stayed at home. Yeah. And now it's getting to the point where a lot of times both people work or both have something going on. In fact, in some homes, the woman works and the dad stays home with the kids.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So the question is, in dating now and what people are looking for right now, who's looking for marriage the most? Is it it used to be the women who had no income, because that's the way it was set up. We're looking for a stable man who can financially take care of them and love them and their kids. But now you have two people who could easily take care of themselves.
Right.
So on that point, they're the same. So who's asking for marriage more these days?
I love that question. And I really want to talk about even the word marriage, because there's so many people, and you have the iconic Stedman and Oprah, who has not went to marriage, which Stedman absolutely wants to many times over. Oprah has an ideology of what marriage is based off of her childhood in Mississippi, where they still had outhouses and women relied on their men, that she's like, heck no, because we would have been divorced 20 times over had we got married, because of her ideology of what a husband and wife is. She can't picture herself in that dance. And he's very traditional man. So it really matters to know, what does marriage mean for different people? Because you'll hear some women and men say, I'm not interested in marriage, which they're normally saying the definition of what marriage is to them. They're not interested in trying to fit that bill, whatever that looks like, right? So I don't know that people are necessarily more interested in marriage as in the essence of getting their love bucket filled, their connection, the camaraderie, the piece of what it is to be one-on-one with someone and growing and being on their path and their journey. And I would like to dial back off of that word marriage, because I think it's over sensationalized, because there's so many people that's been married for so long and still not at peace, excuse me, still don't have that fulfillment, because the goal was marriage versus a goal of actually fulfillment and having love in their life and harmony with someone. And we miss that part. And then we're in the marriage with someone we're not even compatible with, trying to make it work at that point, versus that should have been happening on the other side to know if this is someone I'm even compatible with.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And just on that same note, I know,
Excuse me.
and people in their 20s, 30s, they're getting married and or not married, but cohabitating or getting married, living in the same household, having
Yeah.
children,
Mhm.
growing together with their careers and stuff. But a lot
Yeah.
of people going back into the dating scene after having raised their children, and
Sure.
now they're either working or they're going into that retirement
Yes.
time.
Yes.
They don't always want to do that cohabitating. I see a lot of people
Sure.
who, they're dating and they might even have a very committed long term, like Oprah,
Yes. You
long term
got it.
relationship, but they have their own residences.
You got it. That's right.
And, what
Yeah.
is there a right or wrong to that? Or,
Yeah, I love that you asked that, because I think that's what drives a lot of people's action. Is this right? Is this Christian? Is this Jewish? Is this wrong? Is this moral? Well, all of those conversations we were born into before we can actually even talk about what adultery is and shacking and living with people and it ain't your husband or ain't your wife, right? What marriage is just a contract, it's just a piece of paper, it's just a legal way to bind you to make it harder to get out when you want to get out. It's so many conversations that we're born into before we can even have a decision and talk to really contemplate. And unfortunately, most of us grow up in that conversation and it sticks. So we're doing stuff, we're saying stuff, we're being ways that we haven't even thought about. Is that me? Is that something I really subscribe to? Is that really what I desire? So I really caution people that it has to look this way. What way? And based off of whose way that's supposed to look. Because if you was born on a certain side of the world, it's polygamy, it's polyamory. A woman can have more than one husband, right? So it's really based off where we got dropped off on this earth, or why we even believe what we believe, right? Really challenge people to look at, why do you believe that what you believe, and does it really work for you? Especially serial monogamous, right? They're monogamous for about 5 years, and then they back in another relationship. So is it really monogamy? I don't know, right? Right. So we really want to address that, because you may be a person that would flourish in a polyamorous relationship. You may really be that person, but because it hasn't even been put on your radar, or the first time you even heard this word is here tonight or today, whatever time zone you're listening to, I want people to explore what relationship looks like to them, and where did they really get that definition. Because I think we'll surprise ourselves. And I'm not advocating for people to have multiple partners. What I'm advocating for people for is to actually be with your own thoughts and design your life so it works for you. Because there's too many people comparing and trying to keep up with the Joneses, the Kardashians, and the Wests, and the Beyonce and Jay-Z's, and you're not even happy, and you're comparing yourself to people that you really don't know, just what they're allowing us to see, right? And what is being shown to us. But what would love really look like for you is my question today. And do you know what love feels like to you? What is that dance when you're bubbly, when you got the butterflies, when you simply want to know, did that person eat, because you want to make sure they're getting nourished? That's love. That's love. Are they mentally okay? When they heard about 9/11, did you think about how traumatic that would be for them. Or the Katrina hurricane. I know I'm going all the way back. I'm talking to the people that have been around that long. And then now to this point with the riots, the Black Lives Matter, where you really thinking about the well-being of that person. That's love. It's not just what restaurant we're going to next. Corona, all of these people lost their jobs, money got stopped. This is how you want to measure people love. This is the time to measure people love, right? How do they know how to emotionally support you and be there? Because the wedding has passed. You got the book. Matter of fact, if you can hawk the book and sell it, you might, depending on how financially stressed you are right now, because the emotional intelligence that's needed to get through this segment of our life is so deep that the shallowness of what we've made marriage to be, I think we need to step back and really look at character and integrity of people and how do they deal with their lives when upsets happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and talking about kind of catastrophes, I think COVID has been actually a blessing and a curse,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of both, because some people have really thrived in it.
Yeah.
But let's say, after Valentine's Day, we still want to go find that love of our life.
Yeah.
But gosh, I'm a little scared, What if I go out and this person is sick? How do
Yes.
you actually ask about that and talk about that without making the person feel like, oh, I have cooties or something?
Well, it's a real deal. This one is a life and death, right? So we really got to allow ourselves to have a voice, because this is not something as simple as you're breaking curfew, which is illegal in certain places if you do, and you might get a fine. We're talking about literally you can meet up with this person and die in 14 days because they had COVID, didn't know or didn't tell you or didn't practice, and you are no longer here for your children, your grands, or never have children now that you made that decision. So this is again right back to that emotional intelligence. Are you longing for love, and so much so that you don't even use precautions, even trying to find that love? Listen, wear your hazmat suit, get your hand sanitizer, your mask, whatever it is, if you're going to choose to go out, but do it responsibly. Because this also is a telltale sign of the responsibility level of that person. And it's not that we want to judge them, make them right or wrong. Is it compatible with yours? That's a real question. And I was coaching a young lady, and she said, we've been having a great time. We finally said we're going to go meet each other and get a cup of coffee. He wanted to touch my hand, and I was freaking out, like, don't touch don't touch me, She said, I said, well, you want to set up before you meet and go, listen, we're in COVID. I'm a huggy feely person, but I'm still not comfortable with that. So we can do a fist bump or arm bump or not at all. You have that conversation beforehand, because you're teaching people how to treat you from the door. Right? So you don't want to go in timid and afraid about hurting their feelings when you could die. No, this is a reason to speak up if you never had one, because your life can literally be on the line here. So, and I'm sharing with all of my clients and every social media outlet I get a chance to speak in. I highly recommend you date over some digital form, Zoom, Duo, FaceTime, a few times to even roll that dice before you go meet them. Well, then I get the pushback, Kimberly. People say, well, the chemistry might not be there across the digital services. Maybe, but you'll live a little longer. So, the possibility of not dying allows you, because you can get on. I've got on FaceTime and Zoom and realized, no, and they say something crazy, or we start talking about certain things, and I'm like, I know that's not the person. So, because I'm a single mom, I'm not getting a babysitter every time somebody wants to take me out. Let's start off here where my daughter's still playing, or she's at a play date downstairs. And that way I know if the value is there to even hire a babysitter and drive there and meet you at it. And that was before COVID, Kimberly, because I had to prioritize based off of my busy life, my demands, and that I have a child. So I can't spontaneously date anyone just because they asked me to. We got to qualify that, and now they got to live up to my expectations. Does this warrant me driving, 20 minutes, a half an hour to and fro? Does it even warrant me getting a babysitter? So if that's the case before COVID, even more now. So allow yourself the space to just get to know the person, in my opinion, digitally, before you even roll that dice. Now, I want to answer your other question. You can absolutely ask for your COVID test results. Have you taken a test? Oh, did you? Really? How was it for you? Right? And they'll start saying it hurt, it didn't hurt, whatever. What were your results? Right? When's the last time you took it? These are real questions right now. This is no joke, right? You know, questions. I mean, people willing to ask people credit scores. Why in the world you wouldn't be willing you know, which I think is ridiculous. I think that's
I think that's
preposterous.
ridiculous. I've never been asked that.
Yeah, well, good for you. But I think it's ridiculous. Some women now, because they're making six figures, that I got to make sure my fight. Stop. But that's a whole nother conversation. But back to the COVID, it is definitely warrant right now to say to someone, have you been around a lot of people, or, how you feeling? I know you just got off the plane for visiting your mom. Are you going to do the COVID test now that you're back? These are real conversations, and it will build up tenacity in the relationship that you're willing to deal with each other right where each other is, with graciousness, right? You don't need to make demands, because if he's not willing to do it, and that's important to you, then I let you know that that's not the person for you to vibe with, right? When you say it's important to me, and I would love to hang out with you, but unfortunately, unless you get the test, I just can't do it because I might bring it back to my children, blah, 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 whatever is your reasoning. And there's still a no, in my opinion, they're a no. It's probably likely you're not going to match in a whole lot of other stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And, I have to challenge what someone commented about, that there's no chemistry over Zoom or virtual or whatever. I've interviewed over 200 people.
Come on, Kimberly.
When I sit across from them for 1 hour, just having a conversation,
yes.
I get a very good read on that person and where they're coming from. Exactly. You just have to ask the right questions.
There you go.
In a way that they're going to answer authentically and honestly, not not interrogating someone, but actually asking interesting questions that you're really interested in knowing about.
Yes.
And that they'd be happy to share. Ask someone their story.
That's right.
That's really important. If you just ask, where did you grow up? Tell me about how you grew up, and how you got to be into engineering. How'd you become an engineer? Exactly. People are interested in their careers. People are interested in the things that they're doing, and they like talking about it.
I love
it. If you get someone talking about what they like, that's really important. And another question I ask people that's really revealing, and I use this actually when I hire people.
Oh, this is gonna be juicy, y'all.
What gives you the most joy in your life?
Oh.
Or what are the 3 things that give you the most joy in your life?
Yes.
What are the 3 things that frustrate you or make you upset? You can learn a lot from that. I mean, I asked someone that once, and they said, when other people don't realize that they're wrong. I said, oh, you're off the list. Scratch.
Yes.
You're off. That means he's going to find everybody else wrong and him right.
Yep, you got it. And constantly letting people know that they're wrong and want to prove that they're wrong. Who wants to be around that? So that was perfect. A gentleman last night, one of my clients, getting married, and we talked about filling your emotional bucket. And he was saying how he needs that filled. I said, well, what's the top 3 ways it's filled? What's the top 3 ways that drain your emotional bucket? Same thing, Kimberly. Great way to really hear. And I love what you said also, something really light. How did you get in that career? Oh my goodness. You get all kinds of juicy stories coming out of that. People want to tell you about their bosses, their mentor, the person that stabbed them in the back. They try to stop them from climbing the ladder. And you really get to hear people's philosophy of how they process how things happen to them. Or the glass half full or half empty. You get to really learn a lot. And the gift you can give them is listen, it's twice as much as you actually talk. So that this way the person can really get all ramped up into their story. And before you know it, they take off all of the representative being there, because they're getting all heated in the story, and you really get the gift of being with that person as they are, not as how they think you want them to be. Mm-hmm. And get to be with another human being. That I promise you, that's the worst thing that happened, is that you actually get to learn someone else's story, and inside of that, you get to maybe have a friend, a business partner, or someone that's all that needed to be. And then you're like, okay, this person is abusive, or in that case with the gentleman you said. And you stop there. But now lesson learned, which also builds you a muscle of knowing when to stop with relationships. That's another thing. If you're sitting there listening to this and you got stood up, ghost, the person left early and now they want to come back again, we got to know when to stop. When that's enough of an entanglement or engaging or, contemplating that person, that it's a healthy time to go, the end. Everybody don't deserve a second chance. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that out loud. Everyone doesn't. If that was like the suckiest Valentine's you went to, you want to really kind of contemplate what made it so bad. And was it me? Was it my aura? Was it my expectations? Or was this person just not a good person for what I'm looking for? And no, they don't deserve a makeup date. What really happened? And talking to someone like myself as a life coach or a really good friend that can really be honest with you and peel back the layers so you know if you should even move forward or not, or you sucked and you messed that date up, so you'll be called out from that from a good friend too. And then yes, let's honor that second date, right? So it get a little complicated, a little layered, but it's worth it if you're looking for love and you want a long-term relationship.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up here, but what is your best advice? I mean, you can just say whatever you want on dating, relationships. Yeah. What's a nugget for all of us?
A good juicy nugget is really allow people to be who they are. So many people are starving just to be able to get out a full story without being cut off or someone. I'll give it to you this way. You ever been on holiday, you've been on vacation, you come back to the job and you want to tell everybody, and then it's that person that bursts out and tell about their trip to Hawaii 10 years ago. You're like, dude, this is not your light. This is not your moment. Let me get out my vacation. I want to tell you about my vacation, right? You don't want to be that person. You want to be a person that can really sit a presence for people. So when you're dating, allow yourself to really be present to that person, and you'll give them such a gift to reveal their intention. We talked about intention, their desires, truly who they are, and is there a match here? I want you to talk to. But I want you to get your offloading is for your girlfriends, your life coach, your therapist. Don't offload in a date. What your goal is to really take it in and listen, not like an investigator or a detective, but to really be present to that person. So, because you're looking to see 30 years, you want to listen more than you actually talk. So that's my gift to you. Take it, really take a listen. And that's a skill set. That's not something we're born in. That's taken away long when we were children. So it takes muscle to build that. And I do want to say, listen, if you're hearing us and you're all agitated right now, you're flustered, you're confronted, it's so okay. This is the point of this conversation, to create a healthy lifestyle, incredible lifestyle. That's the whole point of why Kimberley does what she does. And I'm here to support you through that. So you can go to focusjames.com, set up your 30-minute discovery call, and we can talk it out. It might have been a messed up date, but we got a couple of more Valentines to go. Okay, so no worries. Let's walk through it. Let's regroup. And Valentine's isn't everything. It's just one way to possibly get celebrated and celebrate other people that we love.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Focus, for being on. And I am the host of this show, Incredible Life Creator. And if anyone else wants to be an influencer, get your voice heard, get more clients, then message me on Facebook, LinkedIn under my name, Kimberley Linert, and happy to talk to you about that. I have courses enrolling. It's kind of on a rolling enrollment for anyone who wants to start a podcast and get it going quickly. So just message me.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you so much, Focus.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yes. And everyone, I wish you love. I wish you so much blessing and feel so much kindness, so much grace, and just feel like your life is worth it.
Awesome.